All right, so here's the deal. I was gearing up for the Office Field Guide finale, which is huge.
That's what she said.
But I hit this moment.
It's like seeing a documentary about how your food is made. It's kind of disgusting. You learn a lot, but I didn't want to know any of it.
Which got me thinking, like, what genuinely would have shocked the Office crew after the documentary dropped?
We didn't do anything illegal, except knock over a mailbox with our friends.
So I figured in between AARM and the finale, we would do a really quick list video, just listing out all of the crazy reveals that would have happened in the documentary. There's no way this is all of them, but we did come up with 50 on this list. It's the kind of things that would have left somebody shook, whether they were main characters, whether they're specifically David Wallace, or just random people who saw themselves in this documentary.
I'm Pam.
Oh. No, you're not. Pam, get out. Leave it. I mean it. Get the hell out of here.
Now, with 50 items, maybe you already know all of this because you're a super fan of The Office. Kudos. Maybe not. Either way, play along and hit us up in the comments and let us know what surprised you, or better yet, what maybe we missed off this list. And if you're feeling this kind of deep dive video, hit the like button, let us know that you like this, and we'll try to make more like this. With that, let's go. First, I also feel like I need to say that this list has an assumption that is the full 9 seasons of The Office is what was released as the documentary in universe. It's probably not the case, but this is for fun, and that's what we're doing.
How about make-believe land has anything you want?
And since Wallace is the one that kicked this whole thing off, let's start with a string of reveals that would have made Wallace cringe.
Mr. David Wallace! Woo!
And basically anything that happened in the first 3 seasons, I don't know, maybe everything that Michael Scott ever did. I don't know if Wallace ever had a good point of view of what was actually happening in the Scranton branch.
What are you doing right?
But we're just going to talk about some specifics, like how did David Wallace feel when he learned the reason why Dwight was never offered the promotion to manager.
Sorry, I freaked you guys out.
I also wonder what Wallace would have made of the consultant's recommendation to shut down the Scranton branch.
The consultant's report from last year, remember the one that recommended the branch be shut down?
Then there was a time that Michael and Holly were the reason that the office was broken into.
Not if we turn these dials all the way down. Now they can't hear us at all.
And maybe watching Ryan trash Dunder Mifflin in his business school might have led Wallace to second guess his decision making there.
And management is unwilling or unable to adapt. Their customers are dying off.
By your own employees' calculation, you'll be obsolete in the next 5 to 10 years.
I analyzed Dunder Mifflin for a business school class and predicted that they would close this branch 6 months ago. So, actually kind of a victory.
We're all very excited you're going to be joining us. It'll be nice to have another MBA around here.
I'm excited too.
If that didn't already happen amongst all the fraud. And then there was that time that Wallace gave all of his money to a traveling con man.
Bob Kazamakis. David has generously offered to donate $1 million.
But maybe the most impactful reveal to Wallace watching this documentary is the Michael Scott Paper Company arc, and more specifically the current state of the Michael Scott Paper Company when the negotiations begin.
Our prices are the only thing keeping us in business.
They're actually putting you out of business.
And this may be one item, but I'm counting it as 2. It's probably like a double jab to Wallace to then see that Jim knew the current state of the Michael Scott Paper Company.
What you don't understand is that this company's worse.
Oh!
We don't have any...
Oh!
But moving from Wallace, let's talk through some reveals that involve our main characters. Starting with Dwight, who was probably intrigued to learn that Jim and Pam knew about his secret relationship with Angela well before any of it was public.
I will never say a word.
Conversely, then I also wonder how Pam would have responded when she found out that Dwight was letting her win that office battle.
I let Pam win.
And then again, I do wonder if when they were watching the Goodbye Toby episode, if Jim had to stop and explain, oh, you know what? I don't think I ever told you. I was going to propose to you.
I'm going to propose tonight. Holy crap.
Do we know everything about each other?
No.
And maybe everybody's over it at this point, but I do wonder what everyone's reaction would have been when learning why Jim and Pam's wedding was delayed for so long.
Was this veil?
Now we're even.
Then there was that time that Kevin got all of Jim's credit cards canceled while they were on their honeymoon. That probably would have solved quite a mystery for him.
This constitutes identity fraud.
Oh, God. I wouldn't last in jail, Oscar. I'm not like you.
Let alone the reason why Kevin was in his office in the first place.
To fart in.
I also think about this a lot too. If the documentary was released and Michael and Holly are sitting in their home in Colorado watching the DVDs of the documentary, Michael's behavior, especially season 1, is extremely disturbingly bad compared to when she met him. So I do wonder if that created some sort of weird dynamic between the two of them.
We never talked about it again and haven't been back to the conversation. So.
Let alone there was that time he stole a letter from her laptop and cut off a part of her cardigan.
Oh, Michael.
That was also 2, but I counted it as 1. Going back to the office admin job, there was that time that Pam straight up lied about whether this was a real job or not to Gabe, so would have loved to get his reaction.
Great. Well, let me know if you need a new chair or anything that an office...
Shut up!
Watching the documentary also probably would have solved another mystery for Jim as to why Stanley was into meatballs so much for a short while.
That idiot's been feeding us for a week. We'll never have to buy meatballs again.
Also in that vein, Andy realizing that it was Jim who stole his phone and hid it.
Where's my freaking phone?
In your face.
I was laying on the ground, defenseless, until he exhausted himself. I just want it to stop.
Also, there was that time that Andy was stranded out in the sumo suit in the open water of Lake Wamapamak or whatever it was.
Did you catch that up in Lake Wallenpaupack?
Yeah.
Lake Scranton, America's 8th largest indigenous body of water.
And the doc crew did not help a wink. Also, I wonder what the family's reaction to Pam doing this when Cece was born would have been.
Oh my God.
What?
Wrong baby. What? Wrong baby.
Then there's also a bunch of pranks that I'm not sure Dwight ever really realized that this was all Jim's doing, like the whole thing with the CIA.
You have been compromised. Abort mission. Destroy phone.
And then there was the Dunder Mifflin Infinity stuff.
It appears that the website has become alive. This happens to computers and robots sometimes.
There's probably more, so I'm going to have my editor drop at least one more here.
Oh, he'll be fine. I made it up there. Professor Copperfield's Miracle Legumes. I'm actually really disappointed in how poorly my book is doing. I've only sold 1 copy.
But now let's shift into a bunch of things that the office staff did, which was straight up illegal. Like the time that Dwight and Michael attempted to purchase a Class 1 narcotic in order to frame a coworker.
I'm not wearing a wire, so why would you even say that?
The parents of that kidnapped kid might pursue some civil suit if it wasn't, past some sort of statutes of limitations.
It's not a statue, but because some town in Switzerland says so, you have rights.
And then poison, just like so much poison. Packer poisoned.
Packer laced the cupcakes.
He is officially the worst human being.
Dwight poisoned Toby in Fun Run.
I put Imodium in Toby's coffee before the race.
Excellent. Simpsons.
And then Dwight poisoned again.
For a threat to be credible, you had...
Holy
No, you didn't. I'm sick of you and your...
A lot of Dwight in this part of the list. Dwight might also have gotten into real legal issues due to starting a fire in the office building.
Today, smoking is going to save lives.
Dwight, come on, now seriously, you got me concerned here a little bit.
Dwight's undocumented worker bit also has to be illegal for some reason.
2S Fuerte, come on. K.
Pretty sure whatever nation in Africa Bob and Phyllis were visiting for their honeymoon would start the extradition papers soon after the airing of this documentary.
Bob and I were driving late at night, and he'd been drinking, and suddenly, thump. It was probably a man. We bribed the airline, got on a plane that night, and fled home.
That's assuming that the deleted scenes made it into the DVDs there. And then we have Creed's fake ID business.
I run a small fake ID company for my car with a laminating machine that I swipe from the sheriff's station.
And then in retrospect, with the sudden star power that Andy had, at least on the internet, I do wonder if that show was kicking themselves for not using Andy more in their show.
Your clothes may be Bo probably.
I'm also pretty sure there's legal implications for what Meredith was doing in season 5.
I've been sleeping with him in exchange for discounts on our supplies and Outback Steakhouse gift certificates.
Jackpot.
And then the same crime was being perpetuated by Dwight when he was pimping out Clark in season 9.
It's coming a little dangerously close to prostitution.
And then finally there was a hate crime in The Office.
That's not what a hate crime is.
Well, I hated it a lot.
Which that one's more of a joke, so strike that one from the record.
Redacted. Redacted.
And to close this list out, let's just identify a bunch of one-off characters as they would have been sitting and watching this documentary going, what the f***? Like poor Debbie Brown realizing that Creed got her fired.
Who wasn't there last week? Debbie Brown. I feel terrible about Debbie Brown. She got fired because of Dwight.
And then on that note, I wonder how the rest of the Office staff felt about that incident and the many, many other things that Creed did in secret.
One year I had a close acquaintance of mine back a truck in here and clean out this whole place. That was a very good year. I think they blamed it on some kid.
And in addition to the many HR policies being broken in secret around the office, Pam's words about Toby during Goodbye Toby probably would have had a profound impact on him.
Don't tell him I said this, but I always thought he was kind of cute.
Maybe that is why he's so depressed in the finale.
Is it me?
Yes.
Donna's husband for sure would have had a lot of questions.
I just looked a man in the eyes and I shook his hand. All the time I was thinking, I'm sleeping with your wife.
The office staff may have been surprised that that guy that was going to deliver a sandwich one time was there to kill Oscar.
Murder. Okay, that's the big one. That's the big M.
Prince family paper people might have some feelings hurt after helping out those nice young boys.
Should be called the Sucker family.
I am not old.
Then again, I wonder what the city of Scranton, or at least the then business park owners, would have thought when they learned about who defaced their sidewalk job.
If you were a real star, you'd put your face in it.
Now, we do know Roy for sure would have a hard time watching the first couple seasons of The Office, but that one's bound to spark some emotions. Leave it in the comments.
No, I am listening. That's the problem. I'm listening.
There also would have been a very confused insurance salesman.
And he also vaguely threatened me with testicular cancer.
You get a dead horse's chopped off head in your bed.
I also wonder how Saber, or I guess not Saber anymore, how Dunder Mifflin would have handled the whole Lloyd Gross scheme.
Lloyd Gross is a fictional salesman we invented to, how do I put this, steal from the company, embezzle, to commit fraud.
Oh, and then there's the fact that the Yakuza now know exactly where Hide is, and he confessed to his crimes against the Yakuza.
I killed Yakuza boss on purpose. I could search him. So best.
There's a lot of Jan trashing in The Office, but I do wonder how she would have felt during the talking heads that occurred in her own bathroom.
Let's see how uncomfortable we can make our guests. And they're both winning, so I am going to make a run for it.
I'm just gonna stay here for a while, say it out loud. Are you eating?
We definitely missed out on Daryl's reaction to learning that Dwight and Angela had a secret hookup spot in his warehouse.
I'm gonna tell him to go himself.
And then on that, I guess Ryan's coke addiction would have been out for everybody to know about.
I'm gonna hit the bathroom.
You've already been several times.
You help me get off drugs.
And then anyone who stayed in Niagara around 2010 would have been checking dates, cross-referencing when they were at this specific hotel, just to know if they got ice from this ice machine.
My feet were so sweaty, I can't even feel the cold.
And then there was that time for the magician, that like day he had in Scranton would make so much more sense now.
What the hell?
I get it. It's an ironic party for Nellie.
And then lastly, Jim Carrey's wife would finally understand where he was instead of being at the Finger Lakes.
I'm supposed to be in the Finger Lakes right now. I gotta get back pretty soon, don't worry. People disappear in the Finger Lakes.
Having just read through all this, that's a lot of things, and I do feel like there's so much more left on the table here. So leave your thoughts in the comments. If I get enough, and this is an easy enough video to make, I'd love to make more of these. So thank you so much for watching. Next week, we are going to be doing the finale of The Office. The field guide, I've got it written. It's a longin'.
That's what she said.
But I want to thank all these folks for supporting the channel, and thank you for watching. Give this video a like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.